are back with comedian David Boyle, and I'm quitting alcohol. So I've got a giant fucking Ask Boyle today, so I'm just going to get straight into it. If you have any questions you would like answered by one of the greatest minds of the generation or any generation, le crane operator, le comedian, le waterproofer, le Boyle, then head to my website, boylecomedy.com. There's a section there for Ask Boyle. There's also Fucked Up Fridays. Get me in your stories. Get me in your questions. I'll see you over there. So this week's Ask Boyle was sent in by my man down there in fucking Melbourne, Lachlan Watt, a good old friend of the fucking potty. So here it is. Congratulations on the big move. At first, I thought moving to the US was the most stupid decision you could have made, but I'm really enjoying the journey and am glad you are too. I've got two lines of questioning for you today, Boyle. One is a curiosity birthed from the quite frankly very odd parasocial relationship I have with you as one of my best friends on the internet. One actually related to the supposed actual topic of the podcast. It has, for some reason, suddenly struck me as completely bizarre to know almost every detail about the day-to-day life of your family, but not know their names. Did the decision to keep their names off the podcast come initially from yourself, or is it at your mysterious wife's request? Either way, I'm interested to know the reasons behind this and what your biggest concerns about the Jennies knowing these details might be. How do you think your wife would respond if you said, "Hey babe, I told the podcast your name today"? Secondly, I recently decided to reward myself for reaching 1 year sober by traveling to the UK for a festival I really wanted to go to in Manchester with a ton of killer metal bands. I thought it would be cool to spend a couple of days in London, either side of the main event. The festival ruled. I got to catch up with a bunch of friends from around the world, record some cool episodes backstage for my podcast with bands I otherwise would not have been able to meet with face-to-face anytime soon, and see some amazing performances. I think I kind of just answered my own question before I finished it. It must be about having purpose and objective and people to share the experience with. But my time in London itself was mostly fucking depressing. And as someone who used to absolutely love going on solo missions around the world, I had the realization that traveling solo to a major city that is effectively built around pubs as a sober person is fucking shit. I got to see a couple of cool buildings. Yeah, man, the building was sick. I fucking loved it. Shops and museums in London. But for the most part, I just found it depressing and cursed myself for having committed to the extra days. Historically, I would have just found a place to drink and ended up making fleeting friendships with fellow travelers or locals, but people in the UK aren't exactly giving off a friendly vibe in the streets, and I made exactly 0 new connections outside of the festival, apart from a lovely Spanish-Chinese couple. Jesus, that's really clutching at straws, isn't it? Spanish-Chinese couple I was sat next to on my flight home. I'd like to tell myself that I would still be able to have a good time solo traveling sober in places with more outgoing populations or natural sights to see outdoors. Perhaps being in a place where the Australian dollar is actually worth something might help too, but my confidence has taken a dent in a way, and I am not so sure. Perhaps I just need to accept my fate as a homebody or someone that needs a couple of mates or his wife to enjoy seeing the world now. My wife did in fact encourage me to allow myself to cheat on my sobriety due to being overseas and told me to just let loose. But I know she would 100% regret having said that within a month of me coming home and finding the next loophole had I taken such poor advice and broken the seal. Have you had any relatable experiences like this through your sober journey? And what are your overall thoughts on how becoming sober changed your outlook on your own global tourism? Well, lucky W. Fucking hell, you have come to the right place. So I'll fucking tackle your first question first, obviously. My family's name, I don't know if you remember early on in the podcast, like real early on after I'd quit drinking, I was still in that mindset where like family's gay. Like, like it's so fucking lame. Why would I fucking talk about them? But as you found out on your trip to London, when you quit drinking, there's not a fucking lot left. There's not a lot of fun and games. There's not a lot of action. And so what happens is that action gets replaced by family, and that becomes your world. Like, family's still gay for sure, but there's literally nothing else. So that's what you fucking talk about. That's it. I remember those early days, like the first 6 months of the podcast. I'd be hard up on something to fucking talk about. And so I'd talk about my family and I'd be like, boring, fuck. I didn't even want to talk about them at all. But, you know, things change. And it wasn't a conscious decision to keep their fucking names off the podcast. My wife has a very specific name. Like, there's only one person in the world with my wife's name, and it's her. So I was like, maybe it's not a good idea. And I also knew I was going to say some really fucked up shit on this podcast. So eventually I was like, it's probably not a good idea to say her name. It's probably not a good idea to have her name publicly attached to this podcast. That became clear pretty quickly. So even though I wasn't conscious at the start, it became conscious because my wife has like a real job. She has a real job in the real world where she has to meet and talk to real people. She doesn't need to be attached to any of the crazy shit I've said on this podcast in any way. So, yeah, that's one of the reasons. Another reason is I just fucking find it gross. Like, you see couples on social media and you're just like, fuck you, shut up, get away. Just have one of you or none of you. That's it. And so it's just cringe to me. I know I'm probably doing the same thing, but fucking there's a little bit of anonymity there. And people who put their fucking children up on social media are fucking completely cooked. Like, kids like 2 or 3, they haven't given you permission to put their videos up in public for the world to see and fucking look at for eternity. It's fucking insane. I don't know why people do that. All of it's just a privacy. Honestly, I didn't even want to reveal as much as I've revealed on this podcast about myself. Before this podcast, I was very private. I wouldn't say shit about myself to anyone for any reason. I'd tell my stories, but that's about it. I was real low key about what I'm up to. Now it's just out in the world constantly, forever. And I still don't know how I feel about that. But if you record a podcast every single day, you're sort of left with no option than to expose yourself. Anyway, that's that. Now, your second question. Solo traveling sober. Just traveling in general sober. A lot of the shine and the wonder and amazement has gone off it. Yeah. That is a little bit of a problem for me because I do actually like being in bars. I like the atmosphere in the bars and I like the sense that anything could happen in a bar. It's usually easier to talk to people when they're a little bit drunk up until a certain point. So I don't mind being in the bars and I don't mind being in bars sober, But it's very difficult to walk into a fucking bar sober and just sit at a bar, not drinking and mingling and chatting. Like, it makes no sense. You don't belong there. You shouldn't be there. No one's interested. It just is not a thing you should do or you can do. So that leaves you like two options. Like, it leaves you food, and food is great, but you can only eat 3 times a day. You're going to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and maybe a couple of snacks. And that's like a 45-minute piece each, like an hour. Because you're not drinking either. You can order like 3 cups of coffee, I suppose, and sit there and maybe like speak to the people on the table next to you. I don't know. But you've got limited time at restaurants as well. Other than that, you're just out in the street. I mean, you can go out on a fucking tour, but who wants to go out on a tour? Like, there's just not a lot to do. That's what I mean. Like, traveling doesn't excite me at all. I like it now because I do it with my kids and my wife still loves it, and my kids are always blown away by it. So that gives me some sense of like joy. But me just being out there in the world by myself now, like, there's not much going on. Like, when I was in Perth, I spent most of the time in the hotel room, like 85% of the time. When I'm in India, I just stay in the house most of the time. Like, I'm not doing much. When I'm by myself, I'm just so happy to be by myself with no distractions, in silence, in peace and silence, that I just fucking love reading a book. I love laying there just doing nothing. Like, I enjoy just doing the nothing. But all the places, like I remember going to New York when I was younger, and it was fucking incredible. And I remember I was in New York 2 years ago for a few days by myself, and I was like, is there anything outside that I really need to see? Same when I was in Peru. I was like, yeah, this is great, but I tell you what else is great? Inside the hostel room. That's also great. That's why like moving to the US attracted me, because like you're living life here now. You're having a new experience. Going on holiday is, I don't even really know what it is anymore. I suppose it's just a holiday, but it doesn't really make sense. I would prefer no holidays and just move somewhere and live the life where you've moved to. That excites me a little bit. Like this whole process of moving here, doing all the shit that you needed to do to get here. It's been stressful and pretty fucking hectic, but it has been enjoyable and it's been exciting. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the next couple of years bring. But yeah, solo traveling, fucking, I used to love it as well. That's how I did most of my traveling. I loved doing things solo because you always had booze. All you needed to do was pour down booze and something would happen. That's it. The world opens up. It's like a portal, a gateway into funland. Just keep pouring as many drinks as you can down your throat, and eventually that portal opens and people come through it. But when you're sober, yeah, I can't give you any sober advice on how to enjoy anywhere sober or anything. But I think you nailed it when you realized the part that you enjoyed of your trip was the part where you had some purpose and you got to share it with other people. You got to share it with your fellow human beings. Anyway, fucking Lockie, thanks for the question. Thanks for sending it in. I appreciate it. That'll do for tonight, and I'll see you the fuck later.